we dive into the reality of what it actually takes to go after a dream. All of the sweat, all of the tears, all of the sacrifice. And at the end of the day, it isn't easy, but is it worth it?
Do you have a dream? What did you give up? Who did you let go? How much did you sacrifice? All for the dream.
All right, thank y'all for joining us on All for the Dream. I am your host, NAKESHA Wrights, and today I have with me Mr. True Love himself, EUGENE McCORKLE. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
What I do is a combination of poetry and music, where I love music. My favorite artist is James Brown.
Oh, shoot.
So when I was a little boy, I used to get up in the middle of the night and put the towel up on the door because I didn't want my mom to know I was up watching TV. He actually had a TV show on TBS.
Okay.
And so I would put the towel down there and turn the TV up and try to do all his dance moves. But I just liked the way he handled the crowd. And so as I grew older, I think maybe about 11, I started writing poetry because I was shy and I couldn't really talk to girls like I wanted to. And I shouldn't have been trying to talk to girls at 11, but you know.
It's fast.
I wasn't fast. They were cute.
Okay.
And so, you know, I started writing poetry, you know. I got hooked on Edgar Allan Poe. And then I just mixed that with the music. And so I was like, I want to be an entertainer.
So is that when you realized that poetry was your passion?
I don't know if I really realized it was my passion or if it was just something I could do. Because I always loved spelling. So when everybody would, you know, be feeling pressure about taking a spelling test, I had no pressure with that because I love big words. And so it was a challenge for me to get 100 on the spelling test. And so I just practiced my words, and I just wanted to know as many words as I possibly could. And so I guess learning as many words as I possibly could gave me the vocabulary and the ability to write poetry.
I know. I love things with words. Like you see my pillow drink big. My shirt got words on it. I just like words too. And it's actually a term for. I think it's logophile. I think that's how it's like spelled Logophile. And that's just like somebody who has like a love for words. So you know, I realize that a lot of my shirts and things I like to have words and sayings and different things on it. So yeah, I get that. Yeah. I get that. Did your parents play an influential part in you as far as growing up? Did they support you in your poetry endeavor?
Well, I think my mother was only concerned about making the grades. That she, you know, and a lot of times when I was writing poetry, I never shared them with anybody anyway. My father was not there, and so that contributed to my shyness because I never had an example on how to talk to girls. And so my thing was growing up, school, education, that was the most important thing, you know. And she was tough, but I appreciate it, but she was tough. I got mine, you better get yours. But see, better not come in this house.
So you had to follow in her footsteps.
I had to follow her rules.
Her rules. See, my mom was totally. Well, she supported my poetry, my writing, and everything. She still supports me to this day. But she wasn't like strict like that. I know one day I came home. It was like the first. I was in 3rd grade, and it was my first. It was an English type of test, spelling type of test. But I didn't know how it's gonna go. You know how sometimes you know how the test goes. You do it. And I came home with that F. And I was crying, and I was like, she was like, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not okay. Like, no. And when I went back, since I knew how it was done, every last one I got A's on them because I was like, I am nothing. But she wasn't like, you know, strict. Like this is, but you know, school isn't for everybody. Exactly. Like, you know, a lot of arts, like artsy. Like I got good grades. I got my A's and B's. You know, occasional C, but it was never, school was never something like, I was never ready and excited to go to school.
My problem with school is that my mind races, and I could sit there, and it was not for me, I'm just bored. And they call it daydreaming back then. But I'd be somewhere else thinking about something else, and that followed me all the way through college. And as far as my parents being supportive about my poetry, I kept my poetry a secret.
Oh.
For so long. I kept it a secret for years. No one really knew that I was serious about poetry until maybe when I got into the military, and guys would want to. I was a rapper, so they always thought I was smooth with the word, and so they was like, "Hey, I got this girlfriend. I don't know what to say." And I'm like, well, "What do you want to say to her?" So I would take what they were saying, write it down, of course for a fee, and then I would also make a tape to go along with it. I have some Prince on there.
Oh, he was smooth.
I was sitting on for kill. I'm like, by the third song, if you're not smiling, leave.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But so, do you feel like your mom would have been disappointed? Like, is there a reason like you felt like you had to hide it from her?
No, I don't think she would have been disappointed. It was just something that was just real personal to me.
Okay.
And I've always been a loner. So I wasn't always one that would share.
Okay.
My first poetry pieces came out in the form of raps. But the things that I wrote for people that were more personal things, I kept them to the side because, back in the day, there wasn't many guys talking about romance.
Okay.
It just wasn't our culture. We was football, track, and rapping. And that was it. We wasn't talking about emotions.
Okay.
And if you talked about emotions back then, it was like you weak or the stereotypes.
Yeah.
So when I wrote poems for people, it was just they couldn't say what they wanted to say, and I knew how to say it, so I wrote it for them.
But see, that's funny, like, because you said earlier you didn't know how to pretty much communicate what you were gonna say, so you write it down. And so now you're doing this for other people when you didn't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? So that's different. So let me ask you this. So you mentioned Edgar Allan Poe. Is he your favorite poet?
That's my favorite poet.
That man is, he's dark. He's dark. So since it seems so dark, like I've heard some of your poetry it's not really reflective of kind of like that. So the ones that I've heard, what is it about that dark poetry that you like?
Edgar Allan Poe had a way of pulling you into the story, and really and it helped me because it was like, since my mind was already racing, it stopped me, and I'm like, whoa, especially with the Telltale Heart, doom, and it's like you could actually, when I'm reading the words, I can actually picture that whole scenario.
Okay.
But it wasn't just that poem. It was like all the other poems he did was just, they pulled you in. And they were very creative, and they was telling a story. So even when I was rapping, I came up in an era where it was Tribe Called Quest, Public Enemy, KRS-One. Everything told a story. Slick Rick, and so whoever
I can rap that Slick Rick song.
Yeah, whoever had the tightest story. Whoever had the tightest story, especially at the rec, that was the lyricist. And I used to do freestyle. And so to prove to everybody that I didn't write my raps down, I tell them what they wanted me to rap about.
Oh, and you know what? When I came to your show, that time I came to your show and you was doing that poem, and I was like, wait a minute, he talking about stuff that just happened. So that was you doing a freestyle of it.
Right.
Because I was like, no, he did. It was good too, like right off the top of the head. And I was like, put my name in. I was like, oh shoot. But that was dope. I can't do that.
Yeah, but it's when you have an audience, they're living something, they're experiencing something, they're going through something, and I want the true love experience to truly be an experience, but you can't experience it unless you're part of it. And so that's why I asked you, give me a word, give me a word, give me a word, and then I link those words together, and we make a unique experience together. And that's the beautiful thing about words. They change lives, they inspire, they make you cry, they make you happy, they make you sad. They do everything. They're very powerful. So we always got to be careful about how we use them and what we say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even about ourselves. We got to cut out that negativity. You always got to believe you're great.
Yeah, oh, that's a good one. Because that's hard to do sometimes. That's hard to do. But believe that you are great because you are. What's the name of your show that you got, your poetry show?
My poetry show that we have the third Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
It's just third Thursday. We're moving it to, this Friday, the 19th.
Mm-hmm.
It's called What's Good, Good Friday.
Okay.
And so we eventually were supposed to do it to where every month there was a theme, you know, because I wanted to touch on subjects that matter,
Mm-hmm.
like the domestic violence. I want to do something about that because I think that's so tragic how men say they love women, but then they hurt them, not even just emotionally, but physically,
Mm-hmm.
but still say, but I love her.
Mm.
Love don't hurt, you know. Things like
Yes, it
the
does.
homeless.
Yes, it does.
The homeless situation,
Sorry.
you know, there's so much going on, you know, but we cry about everything, but we never cry about people who are on the street.
Mm-hmm.
We just pass them by, not realizing that you driving today, you could be under a bridge tomorrow.
That's true.
It's as quick as a flash of lightning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those themes that I want to bring up. And I think that's what's so missing about our music is because they got these set little stereotypes that they're pumping.
Mm-hmm.
But we're human.
Mm-hmm.
We have human experiences. And those are the best experiences. When you can stop thinking about yourself and consider someone else, then the world is a greater place. But if you self-centered, you're just in the center of your world by yourself and nobody wants to enter that circle.
That's a good point. So tell me, what challenges have you been going through right now with your poetry show?
The challenge that I'm seeing is that, you know, I'm finding that people, for whatever reason, they support you, but they don't really support you.
Okay.
It's
I kind of agree.
yeah,
there.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like you're giving them a part of your life, and you want to share your life with them, but you never know what's going on, you know, in their lives. So I think the market aspect, there's so many avenues that we have to stay on top of as an artist. The marketing, the writing, the planning, and you know, that's a challenge. But then getting your stuff on the radio, because I think my music is good enough to be on the radio. I think it's better than some of the stuff that I'm hearing, and plus it has life and it has love in it. And it was shocking to hear that, oh, you gotta pay people to be on the radio. I'm like, what? Oh, is that why I still hear the same songs over and over and over again? Like Earth, Wind & Fire don't have 12, 15, 30 albums, but we keep hearing the same ones. We keep hearing this. There's plenty of music out there. And so that has been some of the struggle. But the other struggle was at first to find a venue to actually do it. But then there comes Jimmy Moore, who owns Off the Beaten Path Coffee Shop in Winston-Salem at 102 West 3rd Street. I got to plug it.
Yeah.
I got to
I'm
plug
gonna be contacting you soon, Jimmy.
Because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had a place to do my poetry. And she's so giving and she's so liberal and she wants to help everybody. And we need people that's willing to help. You know, that's Save the Arts. You know, and she supports the arts and she'll open up her establishment, and it's love. And so we need people like her.
Yes, we do. Definitely. Have you ever encountered anybody who made you like doubt yourself or doubt your work?
I'm gonna say this.
Let me get it together for this one.
When I was a little boy, I was teased to the point, due to the darkness of my skin, nobody could understand how come my hair was curly, how come I had chinky eyes. And so I always had to fight. And I tried to run home a couple of times, and my mom would lock the door, and she would say, you go out there and fight them, or fight me. I wasn't fighting my mom. I already knew who was gonna lose that battle. And then she said, what happened? Well, they said so-and-so about me. And she'd be like, who are they to you? Do they feed you? Do they clothe you? Do they love you? And I'm like, no. Well, she's like, well, if someone loves you, they know how to treat you. So, but when people hate you, it's because they see something in you that's better than what they have. Or secretly they want to be like you or be better than you. And so half the time we don't even know what's inside us, but other people can see. And so I learned early, no matter what people said to me about me, I just ignored it. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. You jealous. You know. And so that, even when it came to writing raps, you had to have that idea that you were the best. Whether you were the best or not, you had to sit down, formulate your ideas like they were the best thing. Because you're creating this. And so if someone tells you that it's not the greatest piece that you ever wrote, it might be true to them, but it doesn't have to be true to me because I created it. And so I've never let people stop me from doing anything I want to do, bad or good. I used to get in trouble. My mom said, why'd you do it? And I really didn't have an answer, so I remember telling them because I wanted to. Because I wanted to, got me tore out the frame. But I didn't have an answer, and she asked me a question, so I just, because I wanted to, because I didn't have no reason, I just wanted to. I mean, I got open for that line a lot of time, you know. But I mean, I love my mom. She made me who I am.
Definitely.
You know, she was a single mother, you know, had 5 kids, went to college, worked 2 jobs, and if there was no her, there'd be no me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought that up though, because you know that people can probably see they're either jealous of you or they see something in you that they wish they had in themselves. And I was telling y'all that story earlier that I worked with this lady, and she was like you get kind of self-conscious about certain things, and so I've always kind of been self-conscious about my weight and the way I looked. And the lady told me, she was like, I had a child, what's your excuse? And I'm like, you know, you just, it's like the gas, you clutch your pearls, like, oh my God, like, oh, darn, do I look that bad? You know, that's what I was telling y'all. I said, but I got a fupa, I ain't even had a child. What's really going on? But you know, that like damaged me, like for like a while, like it really did. And you kind of just look at yourself, and you know, like to this day, like my partner, he'd be like, telling me to take my jacket off. I said no, because I don't want the people to see my arms. It's something that it can actually hinder you in your thinking and things like that. So you know, I definitely appreciate that you said that, because obviously she wanted to be like me, look like me, something. You know, and I also have a poem on my album called I Pass on a Slim Fast. I love it.
And that's because I ran into a young lady whose boyfriend had left her for someone slimmer. But she was absolutely beautiful. And I'm sitting there like, okay, why did you give him the power to tear you down? And so I wrote that poem for her. And the music that's on the album should be a whole lot more like Barry White, you know, so we're gonna have to remix that one, because there are a lot of beautiful women, and you should never let a man or society or anybody tear you down. You know, the most beautiful thing about a woman is her confidence. You know, and the greatest characteristic of a man is his strength. And if we can get inside ourselves and pat ourselves on our back sometimes, I think there's a gospel song, encourage yourself. You know, but you got to believe in you, despite what the world say about you. Because if they could stop you from being great, greatness missed. Everybody impacts everybody's life. That's everybody's true. Here for a reason. I mean, think about it. You did the video. You got your poetry. I wrote the poetry. If we didn't do that, there'd never be a barbershop.
Oh, but yeah, I was in his video. Oh, sorry. But you're right.
Right, and you know, if I didn't have that experience, you know, that poem wouldn't have been written. Yeah. You know, and those are the things I write about. I write about life. Yep. You know, I want to help someone feel happy about themselves. I want somebody to know that they're loved. I want somebody to know that everybody struggles, but the struggle is going to continue. But depending on how hard that struggle is, that only polishes off your greatness. You know what I'm saying? It knocks
I
that
like
dust
that.
off.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all I'm about. Love's love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's true love. Love's
Yeah.
love. That's, and you say it hurts sometimes. Yeah, it hurts sometimes. But then sometimes it hurts because we spend time with the wrong person that's got control of our time.
Mm-hmm.
So love hurts. But then sometimes love's hurt when we want love from someone, but they can't love at the same capacity in which we love. So we settle.
Mm-hmm.
We should only want the best.
Mm-hmm.
We deserve the best. So yeah, love hurts, but love's good
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah. I like it. So what are some of the dreams that like you got going on? You told me a couple of things. Let me just say it like that. You told me a couple of things that you got going on. You said you have a play that you want to do, and then you have it was a cartoon, but you changing it to a film. So what do you feel is holding you back from working on those two projects?
Being that I have an issue with perfection and an issue with my mind racing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, my mind, I think about different things at different times. You know, I could be somewhere and I'm working a song hit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm jamming, you know, I need to write that one down.
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes later, got another inspiration for another song, write that down. Then 30 minutes later, another poem, writing that down.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I got all this stuff. And the cartoon started out as being about, it was a religious cartoon about a prophet.
Mm-hmm.
And his character was just so different. He was a mixture of three great men that I figured were great, you know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Stokely Carmichael.
Mm-hmm.
So with those three intertwined into one, you can just imagine this guy's not no joke. And he had that aura to where when you was in his circumference, you knew that his greatness was just, you knew not to play with him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that he had inspired the people around him to step up in a matter in which we're gonna take over the world. And so when I'm trying to develop that idea and his characteristics, I'm reading about some of the great men and their flaws,
Mm-hmm.
and their strengths, and what someone of that magnitude needs to have.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to adapt that to a cartoon at first was like, no, that's too serious of a topic.
Okay.
Because the avenues in which I could take this character are great, you know. And then I was like, well, I don't know about no movie. It's about watch movies, you know. So I'm gonna develop the story, and I work with Vision 9 Entertainment, which is Damaris Ellis, and we did a song called "You Must Fight" about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sitting on the shelf because the message in it is just so powerful. It's like it tackles every arena in music, in media,
Mm-hmm.
in the world. I mean, it's like the next March on Washington, but it really is the next March on the world,
Mm-hmm.
as we see it.
Okay.
And so when you have something that dynamic, you want to make sure that it's done right.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, I don't mind nobody talking junk about it, because guess what? That'll let me know I'm on the right. I'm going in the right direction.
That's what's up. So, do you have anything coming up right now?
What I have coming up is on the 19th of April, we have the open mic called What's Good Good Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the process of getting a band to come in, and I have a legendary hip hop beat maker that's supposed to come through, and I'm not telling anybody who that is.
Why not bring it up?
Because you got to tease me. But I guarantee, you know, hopefully some singers will come through and some other poets. Because like I tell everybody, if you're not a poet when you come to my show, I'm going to make you a poet, because everybody has a voice and it needs to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why we filled with so much garbage is because the people that peddle the most garbage got the limelight.
Mm-hmm. You right.
And sometimes we need to let other people speak so they can really realize that they are really relevant, that they really got something to say. and they don't have to follow everybody. Because sometimes the bodies we follow are the wrong bodies.
I can't make your show Friday because I got to do my regular job.
I understand.
But hopefully that be gone soon.
But when you did come to the show, fire.
Thank you.
Fire. Iron sharpened iron. I was like, okay, now you know that done made me want to. If you never heard her speak, you're missing greatness. I'm like,
I appreciate that.
Whoa, it's like, you know it.
Okay, I know it now.
You know it. You didn't know it.
I appreciate that. So just let the people know where they can reach you.
You can reach me on my website, MrTrueLove.com. Instagram, The True Love Experience. I have an album on Apple, Tidal, wherever you download music. It's called Here I Am. It has 7 tracks on there. And my favorite piece on there, it's all of them. But there's something for everybody on that. And so just follow me on Facebook, Mr. True Love Enterprises, or Eugene McCORKLE. Friend me, I'll friend you, and then I'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on. And I'm just trying to let the poetry be heard.
Yes, be heard. Let everybody be heard. Everybody who has a dream, make sure your dream is heard.
Yes.
Because we want to hear it. We want to see it, and we want you to flourish in it. So, once again, this is all for the dream. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, and it's only on Save the Arts TV.
Say the Arts TV. You know what it be. Say the Arts TV. Let's go.